DizzyPunch. Hello and welcome to the GM Bus Stop, where I summon people to keep me company while I wait for my bus. I'm Nick, your host for this series, and here with me today is the Dean of Magic for Minds Never Matter podcast, Noah Bryan.
Hello. So happy to be here and, keep you company while we wait for the bus.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
No, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys were one of the biggest channels that followed us when we first started making content, and I'm 100% sure that our success was because of your team's support, and I'm just so excited to have the chance to talk with you about the amazing work you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big reasons why we do any of this is to continue to build this, the people we have around us. And we all start off small and we're still small as well. So anytime we can help build each other up, we're going to take that opportunity because everyone deserves to have their voice heard.
Yeah, and it's exactly why we do these interviews, because then it just helps other shows move out there. And, I always said before, supporting other shows is such a big thing because we just create a community after it. Oh, well, then, if you're ready, we can get started then.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Your premiere show follows four adventurers tasked with the most arduous job imaginable, becoming college students. What drew you to want to play in this setting, and were you inspired by other actual plays like Fantasy High?
Yeah, I think Fantasy High is what got me really into D&D. That was kind of the start to the enjoyment, and I think this kind of setting allows for so much play between the players and the NPCs. And I just think that's such a fun age when you're in that college level because it's such a transition into that adulthood while you still get to have that goofiness, that childlike wonder of just figuring out what the world is. I feel like once you get to a certain point, you know all the things about the world. Obviously not. No one ever knows everything, but the people feel like they do. So I felt like this type of setting was going to give us our best option to really explore all these different aspects of what we wanted to.
Lovely. It's fun to listen to because I've had a completely different experience when it comes to college or university because I studied abroad, and it feels a bit jarring seeing people go through multiple curriculars because when I studied in England we just focused on one subject, and just hearing you guys just focus on oh, we have PE and then we have something else, and it's are you sure this is just is this high school or is this college?
Yeah, it definitely was. It was a learning experience for sure because I was like, oh, I want to do this college setting. And then as this podcast goes on, we have moved so far away from the college setting that every once in a while I just have to be like, guys, just say you're working on homework in your downtime or you're preparing for a test, so we still have that tie-in when they get back to the school.
Yeah.
'Cause that's why we made it the adventuring college, so we could add in all those D&D aspects to it, like athletics and insight and perception. So it's still college, but it's more the adventuring college. So that's how we tied it in, so I didn't have to worry so much about homework and tests, and because we got off that real quick, and that's a lot of that's on me. But I think it's worked out in our favor that we can still go back to the school whenever we need to.
Yeah, I think the one thing about Fantasy High, which is funny to me, is that they're always trying to tackle adult topics, and then I think Brendan has to be in there you guys are high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
you guys have this young age, but I do think there's this aspect of you are an adult, you do these adult things, you don't really consider yourself as a high schooler anymore, so I think it's a bit harder to put yourself in those shoes, while I think in this setting it's much easier to understand their characters more because it must have been a bit more recent than whatever high school was for you guys.
Yeah, because I think we started it when Aaron and I were just graduating college. So we had lived that experience because that's when I got started into D&D, was in college. I had no real ideas about it before then. So that could also be playing a part in why I enjoy that time in a D&D setting so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also puts us we're all around that age. We're all around the age of our characters, relatively, I think within 10 years. So I think it works out to keep that mentality of where the characters are. And watching the players, they're all amazing at what they do. The way that they can put themselves in the mind of their characters while we're in these out of pocket situations amazes me every time we play. The choices they make, the stuff they do. And like we'll have conversations afterwards where I was like, all right, well that was a crazy thing you did. And they're like, that's what my character would do. And it's like, you're right. You're 100% right.
Mm-hmm. And I assume you can listen to these discussions on your Patreon where you guys talk about your episodes. Previously.
Yeah, whenever we get that Patreon set up, we will have our minds never shut up. Yeah, so that peek behind the curtain, that was something we wanted to do from the beginning, but I kind of fell behind on the editing part just because life happens and I'm a performer. So I ended up having to travel across the country. So like from Kansas City to North Carolina to back, and I've done stuff in Texas, and that makes it difficult to keep up with everything. Mm-hmm. But I fell behind on the editing, and we didn't want to put a Patreon up until we were able to have our listeners have something consecutively every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very valid point. That does make you feel like you are considering the fan base of like because bringing a Patreon is very much bringing a promise to people of like, we will give you this content whenever we can. And that'll
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we do have a Patreon as well. You guys can go check it out. Shameless plug-in, but it's
you gotta.
Yeah, but our premise for our Patreon is that you will always have early access, and for that's a real thing in the back of your mind of like, okay, I have to finish this fast. I have to like edit this. I have to make sure it's great, and then so that way people early access to it, and then it doesn't feel like they're scammed if I only give them like a week early access or a couple days early access. So yeah, it's a bit of an added stress, but I do think, I guess financially, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the other thing is we never really plan to make money off this. If we do, great. But a lot of what Patreon would do for us would allow us to not have to support this on our own, because right now I was paying for out of pocket, and they would pay for me when they can. Now Anna's found a new one that she's paying for out of pocket, as well as I bought, I think, $100 worth of music in SFX to use in our podcast, and just having that Patreon allows us to support that to give out better content to our listeners. But we wanted to make sure that we can give that content before we ask for any kind of compensation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Going back to the discussion of how their characters would react in certain scenarios, in each of your episodes, your players start a session with an icebreaker question about their characters. Like in the first episode, they had 2 truths and 1 lie. What has been your favorite or most memorable icebreaker?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I gotta go back to my Discord real quick to find my questions, because there have been so many. I think it was what they want out of life was probably my favorite, or any of the ones where we ask about their childhood, because that's why I wanted to do these intro questions, because it allowed us to get that insight into characters that we might not be able to beforehand. So I think like once we asked, was a character ever been in love? What's another one? What's the reason for your lowest stat?
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
No, I was gonna say like, what's been your favorite day, or like your best day ever?
Yeah, your favorite day, your favorite meal, stuff like that. Favorite memory from your childhood, and you just get so much insight into the character that you just never get otherwise. And it helps us get into the minds of our character, because it forces you to look deeper than the surface level of your character. It allows us to start getting that creative juices flowing right before we get started. And it's one of my favorite parts of every episode. And once we get the Patreon up and we do the Minds Never Shut Up, we'll have each of the people answer it as themselves. So that way you get the character answer, and then you get the person behind the character's answer.
Right. That's cool. I do enjoy this a lot. When I first started listening, I felt like that was a very interesting idea to get into the minds of the character a bit, and to also show how the players are able to just instantly understand what their character's favorite music is, or what day really meant to them. I love when Pogo said like he's a soft metalhead. That was a fun.
Yeah. Oh, and that's just because he gives such good answers every time. he is in the mind of Pogo like no other.
Yeah. Also, like Anna's. It was the first one I think with Anna was Two Truths and One Lie, and they were like, "Oh, I've killed someone. I love my husband, and I'm really into people. I'm really into large creatures." And you,
Yeah.
yeah. And in the first episode, you immediately know which of those is the false one.
And it's like we just kick off immediately.
Yeah. That really gave the
Oh.
energy of like, I've killed someone. I will do it again, and my favorite color is red.
And that's pretty much exactly what Amelia was.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing is watching these characters grow from that first one is it did feel very like, well, she'll kill someone, this and this and this, but now it feels like that we're getting into the nuances behind all of that.
Yeah, and it does bring in more about the character's backstory, as you said before. I remember, I think Pogo had one where what was his best day ever, and then it kind of brought us into his into his childhood, and it was those like kind of sad moment where it's like, oh wait, that was your best day ever, really?
Yeah, Pogo.
And then the same episode where it was able to do magic for the first time, and his teacher was proud of him, and he was like, "This has now become my best day ever." It's like that still doesn't make you feel good.
No. But oh gosh, but it's those moments that make me laugh, and it makes me so happy to do what we do with these people I care about so much. Is I get those moments and they make me laugh. I've cried now on podcasts. We haven't gotten there, but it's now they've made me cry twice. But I just can't get over how real it starts to feel at a certain point. We're 30 something episodes in, and even after all our hiatuses, we can jump right in and we just build this world and these characters together, and we build these moments just out of thin air. And if that's not like what this is all about, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's so fascinating about your show as well is that there isn't like in the first first 4 episodes, there wasn't like a primary antagonist. It was just you guys living your life as college students, and then something happened. So, and it was like still entertaining as well. So it was fascinating to see how I could just be entertained without having like a primary threat that needs to be solved, or it was just listening to you guys' life was just enough for me to like stay in it.
Yeah, I'm glad that is what you get out of it, because that it was nerve-wracking a little bit to be like, yeah, there isn't a main antagonist yet. Is like
except
Dorky
and the boys. That I was about to say, like, yeah.
God. And then Cecily killed him immediately.
Well, you killed the vampire. You didn't kill Dorky. Dorky still kicking.
Thank goodness. I love him. But yeah,
y'all rich city folks.
I think she killed someone in the second, third.
Yeah, you killed the vampire. It was the Dampier.
Oh, I wish I could remember his name.
I don't. I think we just referred to him as the Dampier, and then she tried to heal him, but it didn't work because healing magic on a vampire doesn't do anything besides hurt them. Which is, I thought it was a good touch. It was a good touch to have that.
Yeah, I definitely, because when we started this, it was like we're gonna play pretty loose with the rules. It's gonna be a lot of rule of cool, just a lot of what would be fun, what would work here, and less to exactly what the rule. Because I took a lot from Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah,
like it. I just love the way they play. It's like, yeah, we're playing D&D, but it's our version of D&D. It doesn't have to be the exact rules. And that's what I love. And when we put this podcast together, that was one of the big things I looked for. And when I talked to him, I said, hey, I want you to make the character choice, not exactly what's always the right choice. Like, I want you to do what your character would do. This is basically an improv exercise, less than just D&D.
Yeah. It's not about action economy or trying to like do the best you can with the character, but it's more about what would your character do in this moment, which is very fair. And I'll say on record, I've never read the core rulebook for D&D. Most of my knowledge has come from just listening to D&D podcasts and understanding things, and also just making my own rules as I go along, I guess.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think they give you the baseline for this for the rules, and then you take it and you run with it. And I think it even says that in the book somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what makes it so much fun to me and why I like this system so much.
Yeah,
Also, his name was Draz Grayson.
Okay, there we go. Draz Grayson. I'm glad that we have a name for this dead vampire. Oh. As you can see by my side, I have a magical vending machine which can summon any drink or snack at my disposal. What is your go-to snack or beverage whenever playing D&D?
Oh, I'm going to be boring for the first part. I drink water whenever doing the podcast because I try so hard not to get gummy on the podcast. And if I have anything other, but I will. No, that's a lie. I drink a Monster before most of ours just to get the energy up because while I love playing it, it takes a lot of mental power to get there. And then snack-wise, you even told me about this. I should have been more prepared.
What?
No, I have a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Nice.
Oh yeah, you never told me this.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
this is the first time
I've met you just seconds ago. What you say?
Just seconds ago. I just saw that vending machine, and they have Reese's peanut butter cups for me, which is my favorite snacks that I would never have known the answer to before this.
Yeah, it's an off-brand Reese's cup because we can't afford the real stuff.
Just a peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
Just a peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
And an energy drink. A peanut butter cup and an energy drink.
Nice. You are not. That was not a boring answer, by the way. I had the first interview I did with two people at once. I love them, Grace and Margaret. Guys, you should go check it out. They're so good. They're from Story Horde. They're such nice people. I keep talking to them even outside this. Go watch them. Their answers for this was Grace's answer was hot water, and then Margaret's answer was cold water. Oh. so it was kind of a mute question, but yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, I think it's very valid. For me, I'm a munch goblin. Anything in front of me, I'll eat it. But the recorded D&D plays, I try to not drink much of anything. I started out drinking like soy chocolate milk because I liked the brand. It was nice. I also do a thing on this channel where I kind of reference healthy snack foods to people because I think we all need a bit of healthy stuff in our life.
Don't we?
This week's installment of healthy foods is I recently started making almond butter, which is I'm kind of in a I've stopped trying to eat snacks recently because I'm on kind of this cut/bulk phase right now. So I've kind of had to consider like my caloric intake, and I still need to make protein in some way, so I thought, hey, why don't I just make almond butter? And it was literally the easiest thing I could do. And the funny thing about that is that as I was making it, I was on the episode where you guys were doing the cooking class for the first time and making a cake, and seeing how you like listening to you guys just like fuck it up.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
So it was good timing as well. It was fun to just be there and like cooking is not hard, guys. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm glad your almond butter turned out better than our cakes did.
Yeah, I mean, it's not almond butter is really easy to make. It's literally just you get like a food processor and you just start. Well, I would say you get almonds without the skins. You toast them a bit. You put them in the food processor. Turn it on and then keep turning it until it becomes like a mushy texture. Things that would make it better as well is I put coconut oil and a couple drops of vanilla extract. So
nice.
Yeah, and at the end, if you don't turn the machine on for too long, it won't be as like mushy. It will be more like a cookie dough kind of basin, which is cool. Yeah, it's good.
Like, I love finding out about new recipes, and like since we have Nick, who's a chef, on our podcast, we get recipes as well.
I also love the references of like, Nick, are we doing it right? Are we doing it right? What does it look like if it looks bad?
Yeah, it's like a resident chef. How many eggs would go in this?
Well, the interesting aspects of D&D, like things that I don't know, I won't really try to reference or bring into it, unless we're kind of like forced into a position where it is. So it was very brave of you to be like, yes, this is a cooking class. I know nothing about cooking, but we're going to do this anyway.
Yeah, I'm Googling as we go, trying to find recipes. Nick's being like, you're wrong. And I'm like, well, you're right. I am wrong. But I think that's where we get a lot of our humor from is doing things that we normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Microphone just popped out of it. There we go. Sorry, my microphone popped out of its holder. I was trying to put it back silently and it didn't work.
No problem. We'll keep it in. We're keeping this in. This is raw stuff,
Good,
guys.
yeah, because I talked over it instead of being quiet, so you could have cut it out.
Yeah.
Like a good podcaster, you know?
Yeah. But yeah.
Still learn.
No, it's always a learning process. Recently, I discovered something about how we edit things, and I had to change everything. So I had to replace our old sound files on Spotify because before I started normalizing audio, which made everything sound a bit not as loud as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So now I use a limiter, which now reduces peaks and kind of it makes everything sound better.
I think I do compressor, normalize,
Mhm.
limiter.
Yeah.
And then go in noise reduction and go from there.
Yeah. You do more than me then.
I try.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like, I'm a perfectionist, which makes it very difficult to do this because I'm not an editor by trade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know just enough, and that's why I'm so thankful for Ethan and oh my god, we said his name earlier. Oh, and Maven. Like,
yeah.
Maven
Mm-hmm.
really got us started on it, and then Ethan has been an absolute incredible help, as well as Anna coming in. But I'm a perfectionist, which makes it very difficult to do these because it's not going to be perfect.
No,
and
it's always
you can hear it in our first episode. Oh, go on.
No, sorry. You always need like a starting point, which is the key to it, I think. Because when you start out things like badly, then a lot of people will not get into the series. It's hard to get people involved into a series when the starting point is at such a low, but even if it just does get incrementally better, it's the faith behind the first episode that gets people hooked.
Yeah, so that is something I want to go back one day and redo episode 1 because I think where a lot of the issues came from is when I exported it wrong. But I didn't know what I was doing at the time, and now I know how to fix it so it sounds better. But we're getting better as we go. The first ones were a couple rough on where everyone was at vocal wise, and you'll hear a couple episodes later on where we're still, where maybe an episode won't sound as good as the other. And I just hope that people give us the grace as we go on that we are going to continue to get better.
I'll say this to you right now as someone who just listened to the thing. You are too harsh on yourself, my friend. You have the quality you guys produce is great in comparison to a lot of series, and I think shut up and just keep doing what you're doing. That's all I'm gonna say right now.
I appreciate that. Sometimes that is just what you need to hear is just shut up and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Let's move to the next question. We just started talking about editing for some reason. I'm sorry to the people who aren't interested, but that's our lives that we have to deal with. So,
welcome to the ADHD conversations.
Yeah. You mentioned in the previous post that your favorite class to play is a fighter because of how streamlined it is in combat. What classes would you recommend to a new player starting out?
Oh, fighter, barbarian, easy. Any of the martial classes, like to someone who's just starting out, because you're not worried about spells, you're not worried about all these different things. All you need to know is that, like, you don't want to get hit, so you have a high armor class, and you want to hit other things, so roll high on the dice. Yeah, I think it's the best way to start learning D&D, and then you start to learn the spells by watching other people, and then once you're ready, you get into those earlier classes. But fighter, barbarian, what a great way to start.
Yeah, I'd also put rogue in there, just because... Yeah, rogue is good for the sense of, like, you have one thing that you're supposed to do, so it doesn't complicate things of what you can do. Because I also feel like let's say you're doing a Battlemaster fighter, there is some complexity with that in itself, and also like there's certain barbarian features as well, where it's like, well, the benefit of the both fighter barbarian is the fact that in RP there's not a lot that you need to do, but in combat it's very clear of what you need to do. And in the rogue, at least, you have similar aspects of, like, you have more things you can do in RP as well.
Yeah.
But
I think I mean, that's true. I think one of the big things I look at when I RP is less about what my character is and more just about what I can do in that situation. But having those extra stats in role playing areas is huge, especially when you're starting out.
One thing very funnily about one of my players, Corvin, they're terrible with spell slots, in the sense of they're so stingy with spell slots, and it's because when they first started playing, they played a first level wizard, and there's this problem with wizards where it's like you do a couple spells and then you're done. Then you got only cantrips. So
Yep.
so there is this kind of anxiety that you have. Like it's the same thing with warlocks as well, where it's like you have two spells, that's it, and then you have cantrips. But it's a bit worse for wizards because at least with the warlocks, you have other things as well as like eldritch invocations and like things you can add to your cantrips, like the Eldritch Blast gets power ups because of the Eldritch Invocations,
Yeah.
and your subclass gives you like extra things to do that has it. So that's beneficial, but just being like a level 1 wizard, it sucks.
It's hard to start off.
Yeah.
You definitely power up as you go on, but man, you just hope you survive that long.
Yeah, level 1 as well. You don't even get your like wizardly subclass as well. It's
But I think that's the other. Oh, go on.
no, I'm sorry. It was at level 2 you get your shit. That's where.
Yeah. Level 2, and then
Mhm.
everything just gets better from there. And once you get Fireball, you're golden.
Yeah, that's the only thing you gotta worry about.
And I was gonna say, I think that's the other reasons why I like martial classes so much is because even when I played like video games, I struggled so much using consumable items because I'm like, what if I need it later? What if we run into something worse? So
Mhm.
having those magical or the spellcasters, I would always hold on to my higher level spells and then just never use them. So it just made me anxious almost.
Right. Yeah. The way I structure our D&D sessions where it's like once combat is over, there is no combat for the rest of the session. So I allow my players to just you can blast as much spell slots as you want in this fight and they won't have much problems moving forward. So that way
Interesting.
so it doesn't make them feel like they have to like conserve their spell slots or because then in itself the fight becomes more entertaining if you see someone just go all out instead of being conservative about their fighting.
I can see that. I can definitely see that for sure.
Mhm.
I think both ways have their merits because it almost puts you in a more, I don't want to use the word stressful, but I'm going to because I don't have a better one.
Yeah.
A stressful situation where it's you might have a smaller fight during the day and you might have a bigger fight later on and you have to figure out what you need to do to save up and it puts those characters in peril almost. And I think that can really make it interesting to see how are they going to get out of this situation. But at the same time, you have so much merit where like, yeah, let's see how powerful these characters can get.
Mhm.
Like, let's see what they can do at their absolute maximum where they're not worried about that next step. And I think that's huge. And I think having both is in each session, but I love what you do that you're just like, yeah, do everything you can right now. Let's see what you got.
Mhm. Because it also my players are easily stressed out, unfortunately. So giving them as much like leeway with what they do tends to bring out some really great content. I remember our first ever campaign that was never recorded. There's at the end we had this speed run that they had to go through, and I literally had a clock, like a real in-world clock. They had to like get a task done in order to save the world. And that did increase the stress levels, but the value of the situation was that they had a full night's rest and they had everything they can to be able to go through this. So it was if you still want to like make your players feel more stressed, your words, you can bring stuff from the real world in order to help out, either by like putting in music, clock, adding a clock to the situation, or even having the speedrun sense where it's like, yes, I have all my spell slots, but if there's more things we have to do even after we've completed this one task, then I'll have to like consider that as well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think I love adding those real world elements to what we do. We haven't ran into where I can do a clock yet, but it's on the docket. It's on my list of things I want to do.
Yeah. It's a fun thing. The situation why the clock was necessary is because there was a bomb that was going off in a real world amount of time, and the fun aspect is that we weren't in combat, so it wasn't like it wasn't like every round is a minute. It was literally like there's 30 minutes in this real time world. You guys need to complete the amount of tasks that are set in front of you. If you don't, y'all die.
Terrifying. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think my parent or not my parents.
Your parents.
I don't know what I was reading, but it definitely wasn't. Um, no, my players kind of like being stressed. We were talking. They wanted more combat because I play a very role play heavy
Yeah.
session. Just because I think it helps build that story. It's what people listen to. Because I love doing D&D combat. I think it can get bogged down, especially in an audio only sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
Dimension 20 does such a great job because they can build the maps, they can do all this extra stuff, but we're limited to only what we can do theater of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
But they came to me, I said, what can I do better? And they said, we want more combat and we want tough combat.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. And that's why I think I kind of add that early, smaller combat to like start draining some of their resources. And it's like, okay, now here's the big one, and this one's going to be tough. And we're starting to get closer, and we're nearing towards the end of the first season. So it's definitely some big tough battles coming.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the episodes we have coming. We just released one this morning, but
Yeah.
there's some awesome stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm. Episode 15. Go watch it.
Exactly.
Go
to
watch
the moon dollar.
Yeah. Go watch it. Go watch my stuff, and then go watch theirs again. That's what you gotta do.
Just keep it on loop.
Yeah.
Just have it running in the background at all the time.
Exactly. Listen, even when you're not doing anything, put it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is such a valid. I also think, like, going back to what you said, it's such a valid thing to consider, because when you are in a podcast format, it's difficult to want to portray combat, and it's so easy to portray like RP moments because the comedy is just there, the drama is there, and yeah, there's not much want to see combat. Like, I do combat because a lot of my players, like you said, like you in the situation, they like combat, and that could be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
My task for me, like my not trouble, but more like the thing I have to consider a lot is like, how can I make every combat fun for me and different every time?
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's the hard part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I will guarantee you that every combat will not seem the same if you ever watch our show. It's all going to be very different in terms of maybe there's some gimmicks, or the situation is different, or the where they are placed is very different from the last one. So it's something that I always try to think about beforehand.
I think what I do to try to keep it interesting is all the combat is story related. It has to push the story along.
Mm.
It just has to be something that either this person is doing something bad and you need to do it to complete your next goal. But I try not to throw random encounters in as often.
Oh, not like Dorky and the Boys.
Yeah. But when we were playing in person, I used to throw random encounters in all the time. But like in this audio format, it's there. I just felt no reason to it. But then they asked for it, and so it's like, okay, but anytime I do, it's gonna have to mean, it's either gonna have to be tough, so it's fun to listen to, or it's gonna have to mean something to move the story along. Because I want to make sure we do have those combat elements, because it's such a big part of D&D, and it's why a lot of people do listen.
Mm-hmm. I spoke to my players like literally last night, and they were talking about, one of the funnest things that we've ever done was that when you throw this random encounter against us. And I'll say it right now, but the random encounter was they were just walking in the city, and at some point they were attacked by Vegasauruses, which is essentially like dinosaurs made out of vegetables.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
Yeah, it was just for no reason. From what they know, from what they can tell, there was no reason why this happened. I literally made like a little broadcast note of like, oh, these Vegasauruses have been coming in for the next exhibits. We are very excited to see what they do. And then they're walking to a cafe, and suddenly, look out! And they encounter like,
love it.
Yeah, I talked about this before in the previous interview, but so if you guys want to hear more about it, listen to it, or listen to a previous one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was also fun for me, because I had to think about what vegetables do pair well with with dinosaurs.
I'm gonna have to listen to it now to see what you came up with.
Yeah, the title of the episode was what was it? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right now. It was Arugula Rex versus
Incredible.
It was Arugula Rex versus Steel Defender. Yeah. Putting a nod to like King Kong versus Godzilla, or like Mecha Godzilla versus
Nice.
King. Yeah, so that was kind of the theme of it. Real fun. And
Very cool.
yeah. All right.
Oh, I think I found it. Yeah. Vegisaurus. There it is, episode 8.
Yeah. It's gonna take a while, but yeah, hope you guys like it. Uh, yeah, you guys were nominated for the Crit Awards for Best NPC in an actual play. That must have felt amazing.
Yeah, getting recognized by just outside of this, because like we never thought that we were gonna get anything like that. So being nominated for it was the most like eye-opening experience. It was like, wow, we're doing this and we're getting noticed for doing it. Now, I think it was the goofiest NPC they could have picked for that. I was like, okay, there was 6 at better ones, but but what an amazing experience that was. And then we got to just sit and watch the award ceremony with all these other creators and getting to see how many other people are creating stuff right now. It just fills my heart that people are wanting to do this, that people are supporting each other. And Jack Daniels, of course, feels very appreciative to be nominated.
Yeah.
And oh my god, I forgot about that until you brought it up.
Well, I feel like I had to bring it up at some point. To be fair,
No, you had to.
It would be. That'd be a bad interview if I wasn't gonna say like, "Oh, you guys got nominated for an award," and just not bring it up. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's very fun to be able to put on our podcast stuff to be like award nominated. Hopefully next year we can put award winning.
Yeah.
You
just got
what a fun time.
you gotta make another NPC that just gotta beat Jack Daniels.
I think we have one coming up. It was this monster, and the way this fight happened in these couple episodes, Anna made me cry at the end of it. Like just teared up. And then I think the ones I don't know will be up by the time the Crit Awards come back around. But we really get to know more about Pogo's mom and Pogo's family. And I think those NPCs really are going to touch home with a lot of people.
Looking forward to that. That sounds awesome. Yeah. I would have imagined like Frederick would have been also like in the list of NPCs, right?
Yeah. So Frederick is such an enigma of a character. He's changed so much from the first half of the season to now. Like even in the episodes we're just releasing, he's so different. And he's one of those characters that I think towards the end is really going to have a resurgence. At least I hope. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, his journey, not the same way, but I remember thinking like, oh, he's a bit kind of like Rog now, isn't he? Where he was a bit of not a primary antagonist, but like this antagonistic force against the group of people, and then he slowly started to like open up more, and we saw a different side to him, which is kind of interesting.
Which I love because the party members all hated him
Yeah.
for so long, and I'm like, no guys, he's opening up, he's nice now, and they're like, we don't trust him, we don't like him, we hate him, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what else more to tell you because you can't give away too much about certain characters. But I'm like, he's nice, like come on, give him a chance. But then I do the whole thing with the town, and then now they have no trust in me. In the best way.
That should always be the case where the players should not trust the GM or DM in any case.
Yeah, trust that I know what I'm doing, but don't trust my characters.
Absolutely. I've done it too many times where I've created an NPC where my players like love this character, and then they were betrayed, and they're like, we can't love anyone anymore because of you.
It's hard because I always love having that twist, but I have to remember that it's okay to just have characters to be exactly what they are. The bad characters can be bad, the good characters can be good, and to not overuse that twist. Otherwise, they see it every time.
Right. It's the interesting aspects of being in charge of a story where you have to really think about like character motivation, why someone is this particular way. And if like you want to create an antagonist, but you have to give a reason why they are this antagonist. Yeah.
Well, Oh, go on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, because I had a question because I'm on your YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a character die?
Not necessarily. So what happened was Corvin, I believe we mentioned Corvin before. Corvin was not in the right headspace to play a particular character because it was just very hard to like consistently consider what they would have to be in the moments or like what would they do. And at one point we kept having to push back our schedules because Corvin just wasn't feeling right. And I then sat down with them and I said, "Hey, are you enjoying playing this character, or would you like to change it up?" And then they're like, "I think for the moment, because I'm really stressed out, I would like to change characters, if that's okay." And I said,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I said, yeah, of course. You know, it came to this point where I really don't want this game should be fun and not overtly stressful. This should be a fun type of stressful, but it shouldn't impact your mentality too much to play this game.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. Is like if you're not having fun, then what's the point? You should be excited to that like, oh man, we get to do this today. It should never be like, oh fuck, we got to darn. Yeah. Oh shoot.
I've been swearing this whole time, dude. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to be sure. Be like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this today yeah. But I just saw that and then I was curious how if you had a character who died, how you dealt with that.
Yeah, no. We've never had a character death yet. Knock on wood, touch metal, whatever you want to say. But I will say that the character we're talking about is Deborah the robot. It's very things you have to consider with this character because in the game we play, they're a robotic cleric and they were just given sentience in a way. They're given emotions, and there was a lot of things to consider back to character, and which I think someone who has the time and who isn't overtly stressed would be able to consider options, but wanting to represent this character in the best way possible, I think Corvin did a very mature thing and said, "Listen, let's table this for a minute, and when I'm a bit more stable, we can start bringing back Deborah."
Yeah, and I think even you as the DM or GM, sitting them down and being like, are you having a good time? I think that's huge that you're able to have that conversation, and it's important to feel comfortable enough to have that conversation within these groups.
Yeah, because if you don't have these conversations, what will happen is that some people will teeter off, they'll go off, and then there'll be a domino effect of like people leaving. So open communication is always the key when it comes to storytelling as a whole, or even playing D&D.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to spotlight some of the people on your team. You mentioned before Maven Gunter and Ethan Moniker helping you out with the editing. I know you obviously do a lot of the editing as well to make sure everything sounds very clean. And I also heard that Amelia, who plays Anna, who plays Amelia.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, so many names. Sorry. Anna, who plays Amelia, also helps out with the editing.
Yeah, so it's kind of been editing by a village at this point. Because while I love this podcast so much, editing does eat up a huge chunk of my time. And when I was doing it because it started off, I did a lot of it by myself while we were getting started. We didn't really have that outreach yet. And it took me probably close to 20 hours to edit one episode. And that's just over courses a week while working 2 jobs, while trying to keep my mental health straight and just have a life outside of it as well. It became a lot. So we added in Maven, and then Maven helped a ton, and then Maven stepped away for a little bit. Now how it works is I give Ethan an episode to clean up about 4 weeks away, so he has 4 weeks to do it, and then Anna has an episode 4 weeks away, and then I have one, and we just keep rotating between the 3 of us. And how they do it is they clean it up, they send it to me, I put in all of the sound effects, the music, and then Ethan, who is working towards being an editor as a career, I believe, is adding in a lot of these vocal inflections and creating the new SFX in pertaining to the voice. And in the newest episode, you hear a couple of those roars, and he did that, and that allowed me to find SFX to add in the other parts as the roar, but he is incredible at what he does. And then Anna cleaning up these episodes, sending to me. She did episode 14 all on her own. She did the special effects, she did the music, because I just could not get it done. So she got it done in 2 nights, and I cannot thank her enough for that as well. So yeah, editing by a village.
Yeah.
Because we have to make the dream work.
Yeah, editing is a big part of what very much like behind the curtains of editing becomes like the most stressful thing you can do in terms of this type of projects. I mean, I consider D&D as like, yeah, this is the fun part, and then record it, and then, oh, okay, that 2 days of my life is gone now.
Yeah, I mean, and it affected my mental health quite a bit recently because it was episode 9. I had spent hours on hours on hours, and then the file corrupted on me.
Mm.
And it almost kind of sent me in a spiral where I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. But thank God I have do what?
No, sorry. I imagine you use Premiere then if the file corrupted.
No, it was Audacity.
Audacity. Okay.
I've never had that issue. I just found out you can't close out of Audacity at all because if you have a big file, it won't reopen.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So for all you Audacity people out there, don't close your files.
Yeah.
But I have such a huge support system that they helped me through it, and we got it up. Again, it's when that kind of stuff happens, it's hard for me to restart. So it's kind of like, well, we're just gonna get it out there so it's out there, but I can't keep putting time into it.
Right. Because at a certain point, you have to put your hands down and be like, okay, this is good enough, and I can't keep using. Yeah.
And move on to the next one and make the next one better.
Truly. Speaking of the next thing, a lot of your artwork is done by Taylor Murchie, who plays your bubbly cleric Cicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor is an incredible artist. That was one of the big things when we started this podcast is Taylor wanted to do a lot of the artwork, and she does an incredible work. Our 300th viewer, subscriber, can't remember what it says on there, listener on our Instagram, and she made that, and she's just made incredible work. And then I know Anna outsources sometimes to some of the other characters to other artists. So we are going to have a lot of different artwork, but Taylor is one of the people who I love having on our team that it can be like, hey, can I have this? And she will get it done so quick.
Mm-hmm. It's always nice to have a good artist on the team. I love Corvin for that, to be able to just help create a lot of the character illustrations and a lot of the thumbnails we do. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Corvin.
Yeah, I was like, I got to get all my thanks out as I can because this truly wouldn't be done without the people I surround myself with.
Yeah. And then you've commissioned a lot of artwork from Mimimar and PrettyDaisis. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. And a lot of your social media is managed by Anna and Taylor, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I think they've been working together. Taylor, I think, got a lot of the Instagram started up, and as well as our TikTok. And then Anna started helping as well as get a lot of the posts up. So a lot of the posts you see today are done by Anna, and basically all of our TikToks are done by Taylor. And the fact that we were able to like split up that workload really allows through creativity, because Taylor still helps a lot with the Instagram, and Taylor will give us ideas and we'll send ideas to Taylor, but really she is doing a lot of that TikTok and Anna's doing a lot of that Instagram. And again, this podcast wouldn't help without the group effort from everyone here.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't talked about Aaron and Nick as well, but they do a ton. Maybe not as much on the social media sides, but Aaron got our website up, and Nick has just the ideas that he gives me, especially for a lot of our episodes. He'll just send me little things and be like, what do you think about this? And it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And Nick's probably one of my favorite people I've ever played with. Just the way you should have heard his audition one shot we did with him. Immediately, I texted Anna and Aaron. I was like, we need him and we need Taylor.
Yeah, because you also on your Instagram, I saw that you guys talked about the story of how you guys all met, and you said a bunch of nice things about each other, which was so lovely.
Yeah, I know Anna wrote a paragraph and had to like edit it down because it was too big to post on social media. But it's because it started off, I've known Aaron, and I don't know how much time you have. I feel bad if I'm
go ahead,
taking up too much time.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because Aaron's who started me in D&D. Like, we played rugby together. He was the rugby president. I happened to go pick up some equipment from his house, and he had D&D that night. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "Playing D&D. You want to play?" I said, "Well, yeah, I've never really done it, so I'm down." So I went home. Me and the person I was with at the time, we watched videos on how to play D&D. We went and played, and that's all she wrote. From there, I started doing one shots. I did a little campaign in college, and we always talked about having a podcast. So during COVID, kind of like how you started yours, we were in a Discord. We joined a D&D Discord with a bunch of people. And I started a one shot. I met Anna playing there, and the way she played characters, I was like, this is who I'd want to be in a podcast. So me, Anna, and Aaron, we auditioned a bunch of people just by playing one shots. We'd do about 3 hours. And Taylor, I don't know if I played with her before that, but she was like, "Can I invite my friend Nick?" Like, absolutely. The more the merrier. The more people we have to choose from, the better. And he brought in this character. I wish I remembered his name, but he said this line that was, "My heart is made of silver, not of gold." And immediately I was like, these two, their chemistry, the way they work together, they're hilarious, they're funny. And like I said, I immediately messaged Anna and Aaron. I think these are who I want to have. I think this is our core group that we want to build.
That's so lovely. That's such a lovely way to start a journey.
And that's all she wrote. And now I think everyone's gotten closer. I won't share people's personal lives on here.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's just gotten so close, and we have plans to like get an Airbnb and just play D&D and just meet up and all these things. We play Magic together now, and hopefully our Patreon is something we want to do. We want to like play board games together and put that out. But even outside of podcasts, we're just so close. Like I messaged Anna today just thanking her for being, a part of my life. I've said the same thing to all of them, but it's truly this group of people means so much to me. And it's just funny as I've only met one of them in person.
It's crazy, isn't it? I haven't met anyone in person yet. I think we plan to meet. I plan to meet Jess and Corvin whenever I have a chance to get to Germany, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But this game truly does bring us together. It just brings everyone together, and I couldn't ask for better people to do it with.
Yeah. And you guys really do have amazing chemistry, and I love the way that you as a GM is able to just like bounce off all the players and just to help make comedic scenes so much funnier.
I couldn't do it without them. They really bring a lot of the funny, and like you said, I get to play off so much of what they do. It's like, here's a goofy situation, go play, go have fun, and then I get to play off of what they do, and that's what I think makes our podcast work.
Yeah. Recently watched this again, but like the first time you guys went into Moonbucks was like that moment of just complete bouncing off each other, which was so fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, that one was fun. The town was fun.
Mm-hmm. The dodgeball. The
dodgeball killed me. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. The first combat with Dorky and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, just going back through, it's crazy to me how much we've gone through already. I think my episode of prep is up to 37 pages.
Wow.
And I was like, I just get to go through and be like, here's all the funny things we did.
What's fun? I'll tell everyone else. This is not. There might not be a good thing to tell people, but I've never written anything down.
That's impressive.
Somehow, some way, the world I've created is just so ingrained in my mind that I know everything. The only time it's ever been an issue where I forgot if a character was named Esteban. Because of that, the title of the series, we said hopefully Esteban because that's what we hoped his name was.
I mean, it happens. So many of my characters are country because I forget what accents I use for them.
Yeah. I think there was a small scene where Anna was like, it's hard to like know who everyone is because they all have country accents."
Yeah, because it's whenever I don't know what to do, it's a country. So when we went to the town, I made sure everyone had a different one. Like one of them was Russian.
Hmm.
Someone was just like that real high pitched voice. Because I like voice acting is something I want to do, but I just forget what voices I use because I think we're 50 NPCs at this point.
Yeah, I think what's
It's hard to keep everyone.
yeah,
Oh, go on.
it is difficult to like keep everything in mind of like whenever I have the players interact with someone who's just a regular person, I just talk regularly to myself.
Yeah.
It's just using my own like what would a regular person sound like? I guess just me then, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the easiest way. You don't want to use up all your good voices
Yeah.
on someone that's not even going to be there.
Hmm. And that's where whenever you hear me talk with a particular accent or sounding very differently, then you're like, oh wait, this person might be integral to the plot. Then hold on, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's it's a fun ride D&D.
I just can't believe you don't write anything down. I have to write everything down just
It's
to even keep
trust
it
me, I
close.
the rest of my life I write things down. For scripts I write things down. For like this interview, I have a whole thing of like the questions to be asked and everything. I write that down. But whenever doing a D&D session, I have exactly the story in mind what I want to do, and it just happens.
That's incredible.
Not to brag.
That's a skill within itself. No, brag. Take those moments.
Yeah, well, later on I'm going to get shit for this, but but yeah,
That's okay.
I'm shooting myself in the foot, but it's fun. Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. We're nearing the end as I see the bus in the horizon. Thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. You can take this time to shout out any upcoming projects or series you guys are working on.
I think currently it's just the Minds Never Matter podcast. We do have episode 16 coming in 2 weeks. Episode 15 just dropped. Anna might have something in the works, so just keep an eye on our Instagram page. Something big is coming along. And I just want to shout out all my party members, our editors, anyone who's helped with artwork. And and to you, Nick, thank you for having me on. Like this has been incredible.
Yeah, I love having these kind of discussions, and I think this was a hit, but we'll wait for the people to say. I don't know.
Fingers crossed. I
Fingers
hope so.
crossed.
If it's not, don't let me know. I'll cry a little bit.
I'll send you a tissue box. Don't know why I just said that. Well,
No, it was good.
yeah. I hope you guys like this episode, guys. If you didn't, too bad. I'm gonna keep doing this. We'll catch you guys on
should.
we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.